Here we are, punters, for this week's edition of Punting Melbourne Style with Pottsy and Ralphy.
There it is.
So before we started today, punters, I just wanted to, I was thinking about the whole reason of doing this show and how it came about and what the point is. And what's the difference between what we're doing here and what sort of happens in the mainstream. So the first thing I want to say is that back 10 years ago, I was a semi-serious recreational punter. They used to punt predominantly during the carnivals, and with mixed levels of success, and I wanted to do it more seriously. So I'd sold a business at the time, and so I had an opportunity to do that. And one of the first things I did was I discovered the Punter Show, which at that time was being shown through RaceTrack. And what I got out of watching the Punter Show there was like a lot of information that helped me, given that I had the time to do it, increase my turnover dramatically, and still stay in play.
Yes.
Which is, that's the key thing. So, and then over the 10 years that's gone on subsequent to that, that process has continued to develop, and now my turnover would be at least, well, it'd be 50 times what it was back then. So now I turn over more in a week than I used to in a year.
Yes.
Right. So that's the point. So a show like ours is about helping punters get to whatever along that level they want to get.
Yeah.
As opposed to just coming along, getting excited by the winks and humidor and the big horses over spring, enjoying it for a month or two, and then disappearing off into their other life the rest of the time.
Yeah.
So if they actually want to learn how to stay in play and really increase their turnover, that's really, I'm trying to help punters go on that journey like I did.
Yes.
Right. So, and I'm just saying to racing administrators, they should think about that. A lot of effort goes into just attracting people to this big important time of year.
Yeah.
But have they ever really thought about what people are worth if their turnover increases 50 times, as opposed to attracting 50 new punters, over the course of the spring? So,
could you tell me one area of promotion that you've seen by the industry, not by the corporate bookmakers, who are the industry's marketeers, like or loathe them, that has encouraged or teaches people to punt? Can you tell me one? And that's not being, I always say, if anyone uses someone else's area to run a personal agenda, their weakest pest, that's not a personal agenda. I don't see anything by the industry that says, I want to get you more interested in racing punting style.
Yeah, well, it's not done directly by the people who I think should have responsibility for it. The people that get paid for it. So the Betfair Hub's one area, but that's not the industry. That's the Betfair's taken that initiative themselves, and a lot of the other corporates have taken various initiatives that go down that sort of course. But the rest of it's just done by punters because they want to give something back. Like for me, I want other people to get, because the more turnover there is, the more liquid the pools are, the better it is for everyone. So I would just love to see the administrators undertake some initiatives that are about providing the sort of information that we can only provide on a limited basis, because we only have one day off a week where we've got time to do this sort of thing. So anyway, what sort of started me thinking about it a bit, one of the things was I had a subscriber write to me back in June. At that stage he wasn't a subscriber, so he was a punter that was a lot like me 10 years ago. He used to come in to the carnival tops, and he would be very careful and patient with his betting, and he'd do it he'd make money, but he said to me, Darren, I can't get my turnover up to enough where it's a worthwhile amount. So that's really what I'm looking for, and he asked me a whole bunch of questions before he subscribed. So he did his due diligence, which I appreciated, and I gave him a bunch of information. So eventually for August 1 he subscribed. His name's Brian, I won't go into that. Now every week since, Brian sent me an email, and I think the service that I've is above what he expected, right? Which is, be that as may, everyone's going to have a different experience. We've had a good run. He's made a lot of money, and he's learnt by being involved with what I'm doing how to increase his turnover. That it's if you do the right things and you can spread the risk enough and have a Kelly mind to betting, so that's pursuing edges and staking according to those edges, you can stay in play a lot more, and you can get yourself involved in a lot more races than you can if you're just doing form. So I want to thank Brian for all of his weekly emails and for the experience he's gone through. I'm glad it's worked out so well. Now, just on that subject, I just wanted to say to people that Jake Williams has done a service to all of us in our industry with the podcast he's done, that Ralph's featured in, Mark Lambourne, Vince.
Oh, business and betting.
Business betting. Daniel O'Sullivan, Johnny Walter was
Yeah.
excellent one. They're all really good listens. I'm sure most of our viewers have listened to all of those ones, but I would just encourage people to listen to the one last week. It was a different angle. It was a guy called Victor. He's from the finance industry. He's got a background from Solomon Smith Barney and some large financial organisations and long-term capital. And the basis of that podcast was really about an experiment that he ran, where he weekday coin toss to be 60% chance of it being heads and 40% tails.
Right.
Gave people a starting bank of $25 and said to them, like, you can bet whatever proportion of your bank you want on each spin, and if you get up to, I think it was $250, you can keep that money. Right, and then what people did, and the people that he had an experiment were, well-educated, intelligent.
Did they know
people.
that the coin was rigged? Right.
But so a lot of the key questions there, so are how many tosses would you need to be able to confirm that supposed rigging of the coin was accurate?
Right.
And most people would answer too few. So, I mean, when I was listening to it, I'd never actually sat down and worked at the maths, but I was thinking over 100.
Yep.
And the answer is over 100. It's about 120.
Yes.
So they go. So, I would just encourage punters to listen to that and just think about it from a betting point of view, because if you can, it's with racing that the market's never absolutely definitive, but generally speaking, if you can beat the starting price, like if you convert it to 100% market regularly, you are in effect turning that coin toss into your advantage.
You'll be on SEN.
Coin toss to your advantage. So it's something I think punters should, if they want to stay in play, if they want to bet a lot, they need to get their head around that, because God bless the people in that experiment that still back tails because they had a feeling or whatever. We need them and we love them, but you know what I mean? You probably would be best off avoiding backing tails in that situation.
Yeah, you probably would. A couple of things I've mentioned, touched on this a bit in the past, but because you've gone down this path, if you can find the book or the audio book, which I use because I like some audio books for staring at the screen all day, probably as most of us are, if we're in the bunker week to week. Super Forecasting, it's called, by Dan Gardner and Philip Tetlock. Look that up, it's awesome. The one that you just reminded me of is like casinos make a lot of money when people walk past the roulette wheel and they'll see 15 reds in a row.
Yeah.
They're like, well, black's due. And even though in their head they know it's still a 50-50, but they'll say, well, 15 in a row is going to change. But what they don't look at is the number of spins for the day or for the year or for the decade. So if someone said to you, if they're going to spin the wheel 10 million times, do you think in that 10 million there'll be streaks of 15, 20 and 30? You'll go, well, of course it would.
Yeah.
But people only look at and by extension the Undoing Project by Michael Moneyball Lewis about Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman. They're one of there's I'm sure you've got the similar one, but it's the myth of small numbers.
Yeah,
it's called. And it's a small sample saying, well, over 15 spins, well, surely black's due, but take away the 50-50 element, it's the sample size is too small, so it skews your thinking.
Yeah, well, the first thing about it, if you really understand Kelly betting, you'll find it'll cure you of casino betting, because you really, I'll say almost impossible to get an edge.
Yes.
Okay, so you really wouldn't be betting there. So anyone that wants to get more into that, listened to that podcast last week, and wants to get more into that subject, there's a great book called Fortune's Formula. That's a complete examination of the Kelly criteria and Kelly betting by William Poundstone. So I'm sure people will be able to find that. I don't know if it's in an audio version, but that's it's a book that I've read a number of times. And so the main point of me saying all that, Ralphy, is that my view is that punters' enjoyment of racing will increase exponentially if they learn how to stay in play and win at betting. So, like at the moment, there's a lot of people that are enjoying watching Winks and Humidor and excitement. We saw some great racing on the weekend. It was exciting. Yeah. Okay, that gets people in. But what keeps them in and what grows their passion for racing is actually not doing their cash and staying in play. So it's a tough game. It's brutal, but if you can get over those humps, you'll let your enjoyment of racing will grow massively, like mine has.
Well, I went from probably a different angle, and unfortunately, I've been pretty upfront about it, is that I didn't have the discipline about respecting my own money when I was making some pretty good money in my footy media days. But I always loved racing so much. Yeah. But it wasn't until I started working with Vince that I realised what I didn't know. Now I'm 48, I was 43 when I started working with him. I literally started following racing when I was 8 or 9. I can remember Kingston Town Manicato and all that. So it was sort of from those days, but I never had. It was just a visual. That's what changed it for me. And what you're saying, I think we're both saying the same as pick a race like the Winter Championships from 2 months ago. Most of the people at the Spring Carnival will not give a shit. But to me, that was fascinating. You sit down and you do the film for, what was the Tassie Horse, Tarshuni, Sovereign Nation, and Mavasho, but they were the best horses running around at that time, on that day, set for the race. There was tactics involved, there was fast speed. That race has been well forgotten by the time the spring's around, but to me, that's what makes it interesting year round, to use your phrase, Potts, which I love using now all the time. It's like chess, except it's a lot more interesting.
Absolutely, it's a maze. I entered that maze, like I had a good background in racing, but I entered that maze 10 years ago, and it's just never ending.
Yes.
It's an intriguing, fascinating industry where the target's always moving. It's fantastic. And just on your point about getting through winter and horses like Shahidsi and all that type of thing, to the people that have got involved and subscribed to my product or yours or whatever and got through winter with a profit, would have been able to bet a lot more confidently at that meeting on Saturday than people that were just joining in on Saturday.
Yeah.
So, that was one of the strongest betting meetings I've had so far this year. After I walked the track and sent a video out to my subscribers, I felt like it was a meeting we could bet really confidently at. So, there is a real benefit in getting through, the winter period and staying in play.
I said I had a bad August, so nice and upfront about it, made me sick, and it's my job, so I've got to get it right. But I had the same amount of confidence with you. I had to be circumspect about it because I've got some meetings on, but I knew it was because it was a new batch of horses. We had to get a handle on them. I'd identified two things. One, first up horses, and thank you to Dan Kelly who pulled me aside. He said, "Yeah, they've been beaten narrowly, but you're into them too hard on fresh horses."
Yeah.
He said, "Don't worry about the fact that they've been unlucky or beaten that far. They've been beaten."
Yeah.
So it was a regroup, and that's what I like about doing this with you. And apart from our good fun chatting when you get Mick or DK or whatever, I think punting, it's a bit like what I've noticed. It's a bit like how golfers at any level, even the elite, they'll see someone on a punting green and they say, "Mate, your elbows are up a bit" or something. Now that bloke can then beat him in the tournament.
Yeah.
But they don't care because they're happy to share information, and they're playing the course.
Yeah.
And we're playing the market.
Yeah.
So we don't have no problem sharing information. It's the only thing, if someone wants a tip, it's not really, but if someone wants, how do you go about thinking this way? Well, we love explaining those things because that's what the sport's fascinating to us.
I agree with all of that. And I would just say, Ralphy, the self-examination that your run in August would have led you to would have put you in really good stead for the coming spring.
Yeah.
So I can tell you, the punters now, every time I've had a really bad run and I've gone back and examined a bunch of things, I've learned invaluable lessons from doing that. And that's what I'm talking about by it's a maze, and it's intriguing, and it leads you look back at the market and say, that horse was well backed, I missed it, why was it well backed? How did that happen?
Yeah.
All these sort of things, and you pick up little things about different tempos and the platforms horses have got, and whether it's better going up in distance or back in distance from that type of thing, and it just improves you. It's a game of constant renewal and improvement, and you have to play that game. So,
well, you gave me a hand on one horse, and what we'll do, because we'll get to the race by race, I'll tell you what you gave me a hand in part two.
Excellent. And I just want to say, just again touching on a point you just made before, with Vince's stuff, back when I was at doing some work with Dallas, before I'd ever done my own set publicly, Dallas asked me to do a project because of my understanding of Kelly betting and stuff, using Vince's race speed profiles.
Yep.
I did it for 2 years, just making a basic betting plan based on his confidence levels and so forth, and it made 10% on turnover all through the year.
Beautiful.
No problem. And I did the same thing with Mark Lambourne's set for years and made above 10% just using Mark's prices, backing 3 or 4 horses a race, putting them into a Kelly calculator and then staking correctly. So that's the advantage of understanding that stuff and keeping yourself in play year round.
100%.
There we go, punters. We'll be back in a second with part 2.